Should you tell your employer of your disability?
I can't tell you how many times I've been asked whether or not a disabled student or any disabled job seeker should tell the employer that they have a disability. There's no easy answer. There are a few things to consider. First, do you actually need the employer to make an adjustment so that you can get through that damn application process properly? Because you may feel that if you roll up in your wheelchair, it's his problem if he doesn't have a ramp. But if you didn't tell him in advance, you didn't give him a chance to make sure the interview was in a room you could actually get in. He's embarrassed, and you don't get the job. It's that simple. Even though it may be wrong, you don't get the job. Because most employers don't expect job seekers to need accessible rooms. Another way of looking at it is, if you know that you're applying to Ernst & Young and they've got a high-profile program up saying they really want to get the numbers of disabled graduates up because they feel they're missing out on that talent, well, you'd kind of want to tell them, wouldn't you? I mean, I'm Canadian. If they were looking for Canadians, I'd kind of tell them, because it's an advantage. Sometimes it's an advantage. On the other hand, do you need the employer to actually do something differently for you in order for you to do really well in the job, but not to actually get the job? You might decide that maybe you take the job, you build relationships, you get confidence and trust, and then you start to say, well, actually, I'd be more efficient if I was allowed to use this bit of technology. You might decide that that's worth doing because you know that you can do most of the job pretty well without having to need that requirement immediately addressed. And then you might ask yourself, is there any reason why the employer needs to know? If the employer doesn't have to think or do anything differently in order for you to get a fair shot at that job, maybe he doesn't need to know. You have to be very practical. And for me, the worst thing that can happen is that you assume you have to hide it, and it somehow distorts the whole process. So I remember someone trying to get a job, hearing impaired, and the panel said afterwards, you didn't make eye contact, and that's why you didn't get the job. But he was lip reading. But because he hadn't told anybody, they made a judgment on the basis of inaccurate information. And the point is, they didn't get the job. And so I would just say to any disabled graduates, look at it logically. What do you need the employer to do? Is it an advantage? And then, take a reasoned decision. And by all means, talk to employers at career fairs and so on, just to get a feeling for how they respond when you discuss this with them.